Imagine a world that accepts only a single currency. A world in which your entire value as a human being is based on a single number. We call it the intelligence quotient. From an early age, we sort people into categories. We celebrate the geniuses, we admire the fast, the efficient. But what about those at the other end of the spectrum? What about the people we quietly label as slow or incapable? People with an IQ below 70. We often look down on them with pity. We believe their lives are empty, their world is dark, and their minds are defective. But today I want to radically challenge this perspective. What if I told you that we have been looking in the wrong place all along? Modern psychology reveals something astonishing to us. An extremely low IQ does not mean the absence of intelligence. It means a completely different way of existing. In a society obsessed with performance, we often overlook a profound truth. What if a person who cannot solve an equation feels the world more clearly than any professor? What if true humanity resides in a place that no test in the world can ever measure? Come with me on a journey into the inner world of an extraordinary mind. Let us set aside our prejudices and understand what it truly means to be human. To understand what happens inside a person with an IQ below 70, we must turn our attention away from grades and look directly at the architecture of the brain. It is not a broken system, but a system that operates on a completely different rhythm. The centerpiece of this story is the prefrontal cortex. This is the area located directly behind your forehead. In the world of neuroscience, it is considered the command center. This is where complex decisions are made, plans are formed, and abstract concepts are processed. However, in people with extremely low IQ, research shows significantly reduced neural connectivity. Imagine it like a highway where the lanes are narrower and traffic can only move at a slow pace. The electrical signal transmission between nerve cells is slower. This has fundamental effects on how logic functions. Concepts that seem completely obvious to most of us become insurmountable obstacles here. Take the principle of cause and effect. If I do this today, that will happen tomorrow. For a brain with slowed processing, this bridge between the present and the future is often unstable. Abstract systems such as money or time also lose their fixed form. Why is a printed piece of paper more valuable than a shiny stone? Why does an hour sometimes feel endless and yet pass so quickly? Without the full capacity of the prefrontal cortex, the world remains a place of loose ends. The logical threads that connect everything into a larger whole are missing. It is an existence in the here and now, not by choice, but because the biological processing power for complex abstractions is simply limited. When the logical threads of abstraction break, something remarkable remains: the pure, unfiltered present. While we get lost in worries about tomorrow or analyze the mistakes of yesterday, a person with an extremely low IQ exists in a world that consists almost entirely of the now. It is an existence not based on chains of if-then thinking. Instead, procedural memory comes to the forefront. This is the intelligence of the hands, the wisdom of routine. A person may not be able to explain how thermodynamics works, but they can feel the exact warmth of a cup of tea in their palms. They enjoy the rhythm of chopping vegetables or the familiar sensation of fabric between their fingers with an intensity we have often lost. Every meal becomes a sensory event, not just a simple intake of calories between two appointments. Because the brain is not distracted by complex future plans or social ambitions, a rare form of focus emerges. It is a mastery of the moment. In this world, there are no complicated strategies to appear happy. There is only direct experience, the texture of clothing, the light falling through a window, or the familiar sound of a door closing. These people are not prisoners of their limitation, but often ambassadors of a mindfulness that we struggle to find in meditation classes. They live where life actually happens, in immediate physical reality. Here, what matters is not what you know, but what you feel and do in this single, fleeting moment. Do you remember the beginning? We talked about the prefrontal cortex acting like a slow computer when dealing with complex numbers. But deep inside the brain, there exists a second continent that operates completely independently, the limbic system. This is where our primal instincts, our attachments, and above all, our emotions are processed. And this is exactly where something magical happens. While logical processing power is limited, the emotional center is often fully awake and remarkably intense. People with extremely low IQ possess a kind of social sixth sense. They do not just hear your words, they feel your energy. They are masters at reading the smallest nuance in your voice. A tiny trace of impatience, the warmth of a genuine smile, or the coldness of forced kindness. Where an intellectual might try to see through your facade by analyzing your arguments, a person with cognitive impairment simply feels whether you are sincere. Here, a form of love and loyalty emerges that sets no conditions. They do not love you because of your status, your money, or your clever advice. In their world, there are no social hierarchies or strategic relationships. The connection is pure. They bond with you because you give them a sense of safety, comfort, and warmth. It is an unconditional devotion that we often painfully lack in our modern, calculating world. These people show us that you do not need to be a math genius to feel compassion. You do not need to understand complex theories to be loyal. At the end of the day, what matters is not how fast your mind works, but how open your heart is. When logic falls silent, the soul begins to speak. And this language is more universal than any number, yeah. Why have we decided that a single number should determine the value of an entire life? When we talk about intelligence, we almost always think of logic, mathematics, and language. But psychologist Howard Gardner gave us a completely different perspective. The theory of multiple intelligences. Gardner recognized that human potential is far too vast to be confined to a single IQ test. There is spatial intelligence, musical intelligence, bodily kinesthetic intelligence, and perhaps most importantly, interpersonal intelligence. A person with an IQ of 50 may fail a simple math problem, but they can be a genius of human presence. While our modern world, and even artificial intelligence, are becoming better and better at processing data and analyzing facts, we are often losing the ability to simply be. Someone with a cognitive limitation often possesses a form of emotional intelligence that we can hardly comprehend anymore. They are present. They do not judge. They are masters of social connection without following a single strategy. In school, they might be the last. But in a situation that requires pure compassion and genuine connection, they could be the first. It is a paradoxical realization. The things that touch us most deeply, that make us feel seen and understood, have absolutely nothing to do with the processing power of our brains. True intelligence is not only shown in how well one can explain the world, but in how deeply one is able to love within it and resonate with others. We have taken a journey through biology, the senses, and emotions, and at the end stands a realization that can change our entire worldview. The things we most strongly associate with being human, the ability to love, the depth of our loyalty, the experience of pure joy or genuine fear, none of these require a high intelligence quotient. This essence of our being does not reside in the complex algorithms of our mind. It lies much deeper, in regions of the heart and soul that no test in the world could ever map. When we look at people with extremely low IQ, we do not see deficits. We see reflections of our own deepest humanity, freed from the burden of constant analysis and planning. It is time for us to stop measuring a person's value by their usefulness or their logical speed. True inclusion begins in the mind, but it is completed in the heart. By recognizing cognitive diversity, we not only learn something about others, but above all, about ourselves. We learn that connection matters more than understanding. What do you think about this? Have you ever experienced in your life that emotional warmth and genuine presence outweigh clever words? Let's talk about it in the comments. If you enjoyed this journey into the depths of human psychology, subscribe to the channel and become part of our community. Because in the end, what matters is not how fast we think, but how deeply we feel.